But I think we're doing the right thing here. There's been a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. When you're part of the government, you saw a lot of that, and there's been, if you look at the Inspector General reports and the Government Accountability Office, there have been many audits that have pointed out that there's a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. In fact, there was a report issued by the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, last year. So during the Biden administration, which estimated the federal government fraud to be $500 billion. So just to be clear, that's not a Trump administration thing, that's a Biden administration thing. So what we're trying to do is get that number down to a much smaller figure, save money for the American taxpayer, stop money being spent on things that I think very few taxpayers would agree make sense. Transgender animal surgeries, or why are we spending money? Why are American tax dollars being spent on this? The president's gone through a long list of absurd things. Why are the 20 million people who are definitely dead marked as alive in the Social Security database?
Boy, 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 boy. So once again, we got to talk about the mainstream liberal media and their failing propaganda against President Trump and Elon Musk, okay? Because they're trying to tear down the relationship between President Trump and Elon Musk, because it is a powerful relationship, probably the most powerful relationship in the world at this point. And Democrats and the liberal media, they know this. This is why they're trying tooth and nail to separate President Trump and Elon Musk. Like, for example, making up fake rumors about how President Trump, Elon Musk, and Marco Rubio got into a big argument, just a huge argument, except President Trump came out and shut that down. Take a look.
Some brand new reporting in the New York Times today on a confrontation of sorts inside the White House between Elon Musk and several members of Donald Trump's new cabinet, with Donald Trump sort of reduced to the role of spectator. The Times cites 5 people with knowledge of the confrontation, reports this about an argument between Elon Musk and Marco Rubio. Quote, "You fired nobody," Musk told Rubio, then scornfully added that perhaps the only person he had fired was a staff member from his Department of Government Efficiency. Rubio had been privately furious with Musk for weeks, ever since his DOGE team effectively shuttered an entire agency that was supposedly under Rubio's control, the United States Agency for International Development. Musk was not being truthful, Rubio said. What about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement in buyouts? Didn't they count as layoffs, he asked sarcastically, whether Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so he can make a show of firing them again. Then he laid out his detailed plans for reorganizing the State Department. Musk was unimpressed. He told Rubio he was, quote, good on TV, with the clear subtext being he wasn't good for much else. Where was Donald Trump in all this? The Times reports that he sat back as if he was watching a tennis match. Ultimately, he, quote, intervened to defend, wait for it, Rubio. Said he was doing a great job. Rubio has a lot to deal with, the president said. He's very busy. He's always traveling and on TV. And he has an agency to run. So everyone just needs to work together, end quote. And then for the first time since his inauguration, Trump put some restraints on Elon Musk. From this reporting, quote, from now on, he said, the secretaries would be in charge. The Musk team will only advise.
Mr. President, since you last spoke about it yesterday, some details have come out about your cabinet meeting with Elon Musk and some clashes potentially between Secretary Rubio and Secretary
No
Duffy.
clash. I was there. You're just a troublemaker. And you're not supposed to be asking that question because we're talking about the World Cup.
But
Elon gets along great with Marco, and they're both doing a fantastic job. There is no clash.
But Mr. President, bottom line.
Who are you with? Who are you with?
NBC.
Oh, no wonder. That's
Mr. President,
NBC.
Who has more authority, Elon Musk or your cabinet secretary?
Any other questions about the World Cup?
Can we unveil the truth?
I'd love to.
Because this is something...
And on top of that, Marco Rubio himself basically came out and thanked Elon Musk and the DOGE team for their efforts to help cut USAID. And this is something that was acknowledged by Elon Musk in an interview on Fox Business.
But stop to that, so.
I don't want to interrupt, but Secretary of State Rubio has just come out, I think he tweeted today, he has accepted over 80% of your recommendations to shut down in USAID.
Right.
So your review and analysis was spot on.
Yes. So I think when people criticize, say, what Doge is doing, we say, well, which part specifically? Because we put all of the actions of the Doge team on the doge.gov website and on the Doge handle on X. So we post the receipts. So it's like this action has been taken, this action has been taken. So when we get criticism, we say like, of what?
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? It's almost as if every rumor that the mainstream liberal media has put out about Trump's cabinet has just turned out not to be true. You guys remember at the beginning of all of this, when President Trump first got in office, there's a rift between Elon Musk and Trump. The relationship is not going to last. They're going to hate each other. They both have too big of egos, right? Turns out it's been over a month, okay? And, hey, it seems as if their relationship is stronger than ever. I was actually reading an article about how allegedly Marco Rubio has been sidelined, right? He's been out of the loop. In the Trump administration, they've been doing things without him involved. And that's also not true as well, too, because Marco Rubio is the person that is leading the negotiations between Ukraine and Russia in order to get a ceasefire. In fact, Marco Rubio made a major announcement about that today.
Today, we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes to peace. The ball is now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
Yeah, so my point is that you should not believe anything that comes out of these people's mouths about what's going on with the Trump administration and his cabinet, okay? They've been wrong from day one, right? They've been very, very, very wrong, okay? And what they really want to do is that they want to basically try to break up President Trump's cabinet because people like Elon Musk and Marco Rubio, they're over the target when it comes to their jobs and what they're tasked to do for the president, especially when it comes to Elon Musk, because what he's doing is that he's exposing the waste, fraud, and abuse that is rampant throughout the government. I mean, we know this, okay? Even the Biden reports, okay? The inspector generals have determined that there are hundreds of billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse, including in our so-called entitlements, which, Democrats are kicking and screaming and crying about because, again, they don't want the money train to stop that helps them out politically. They don't want to actually root out the fraud and waste that, again, the Biden government has admitted is in these entitlement programs. But again, they don't want to cut it for whatever reason.
The waste and fraud in entitlement spending, which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. So that's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here and then turning them into voters.
Yes.
So this is why the Democrats are so upset about the situation, because they're losing, if we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants, then they will leave and they will lose voters.
But you have President's support. He said so again yesterday. He completely supports your operation.
Yeah, well, thanks. But that's super. Without the president's support, we couldn't make any progress here. Yeah, I mean, where you'll see the biggest outcry is from the Democrats who are they don't want the waste and fraud to be turned off because it is a gigantic magnet to attract illegal immigrants and have them stay in the country. And I mean, you see some of the crazy stuff, like where money from FEMA, which is FEMA is an agency that's meant to take care of Americans in distress. And a bunch of their money was being sent to pay for luxury hotels in New York for illegal immigrants. And that was happening even after the president was elected, even after he signed an executive order saying that needs to stop. So we actually made sure that money did stop going, because it's outrageous that American taxpayer money is spent on luxury hotels for illegals. But you have to say, like, why was that being done? it was because the Democrats are trying to import voters, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, so the mainstream liberal media and Democrats are trying to frame rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse from the entitlement as, well, President Trump and Elon, they're trying to cut Social Security. They're trying to take away grandma's check. They're trying to take away your Medicaid. They're trying to take away your Medicare, right? This is how they're framing it, right? Trying to root out what the Biden administration has acknowledged, right? Many administrations have acknowledged is waste, fraud, abuse within these programs. That's bad, right? That's a terrible thing. It's almost as if they don't want to do anything about it, right? They don't want you to find out what we're spending our taxpayer dollars on, right? They don't want us to do that for whatever reason. Well, again, the reason why is because we know there's a paper trail that leads back to the money being beneficial towards Democrats in the form of direct payments to the nonprofits that their family members are a part of and their friends are a part of and stuff like that. Or, like Elon pointed out, illegals benefiting from our entitlements, okay? And that helps Democrats in the long run politically. But again, regardless, the liberal media, they're at the point where they're just flat out defending the waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, like this CNN anchor basically tried to do in this interview with Republican Tim Burchett from Tennessee. Take a look.
The issue is the cuts to the benefits versus waste, fraud, and abuse. I think there seems to be a lot of support, right, for waste, fraud, and abuse. The issue is that if you talk to folks who can actually know the amount of waste, fraud, and abuse that you could tackle, they say you can't get that number of the cuts that he's talking about. They say you can't balance the budget, which is obviously something Republicans really want to do, without being honest about cutting these entitlements. And yet it seems something that Republicans are reticent to speak honestly about, that's what would have to be done.
My daddy was an old educator, and he used to tell me they always invite the people in to fix the problem that created the problem. You're asking the people that created the problem, did they make a mistake? And of course they're going to tell you, no, we didn't make a mistake. This is crazy. Well, nobody imagined any of these millions and billions of dollars that are going out. We're giving $40 million a week to the Taliban
I think
right
these
now.
Are people.
Currently,
I think these are people who actually are interested in reducing. Some of these estimates, they are people who are interested in being fiscally conservative.
Then why don't they embrace the idea of exposing these things? Why do they want to demonize Trump and they want to demonize Elon Musk? It's ridiculous.
No, they don't.
Ma'am.
I'm just talking about.
Embrace it?
No, they're not.
Ma'am,
I'm just talking about
every day. Have you all ever had any in the last
folks,
I don't know 3 weeks an article on?
I'm talking about the math on waste, fraud, and abuse.
Well, look at the math. If Elon Musk says that he thinks he can find $1 trillion worth of waste, abuse, and fraud, why don't we let him try to see if he can find it? What does that hurt? Everybody's trying to be critical. They're attacking the message carrier, and the problem is that this money, you're going to see it going to politicians. And going out to these NGOs and all these organizations that they claim they're doing a good job, and it's coming right back to Washington and possibly both parties. And I think that's what a lot of these people are afraid of. They're going to get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and some of these people need to be in handcuffs, because Medicaid and Medicare should be a sacred group of people, and we should not be stealing from any group that is trying to help that community. And that is what has happened. We just had a meeting just now in oversight. There are 7 days. Somebody said, well, it's just so infantile, it's so small. And then it turned out, I asked, what was the percentage? And they said 7 to 8%, over $150 billion that is being misdirected or stolen or whatever through fraudulent or human error.
I'm just trying to have
Why don't you embrace that? Why don't you all at CNN want
I'm trying to do a little math with
stuff?
you. I'm trying to do some math with you, talking about
Ma'am,
math.
You all do not support one cut. CNN, you all do not support one dadgum cut in any of this stuff. You're trying to use the lowest denominator. You're trying to scare the most people to drive the train against Trump, and it's not working. The American people are not buying it. And you all have made a huge error in this, because there's unbelievable waste.
I'm looking at the
fraud.
numbers.
No, ma'am, No, ma'am.
I'm looking at the numbers that DOGE has put out themselves. They say they're cutting contracts that have already ended. They say they're cutting a big amount. It turns out it's actually a smaller amount. That's just math, Congressman. And we're going to continue
Ma'am,
to keep looking at the math.
Are you saying there's not, are you saying there's not, well, look at the math. Are you saying there's not billions of dollars of waste, abuse, and fraud in federal government? Are you trying to say that? Because everybody out there knows
I don't
it.
need to tell you that. There's
that's why Trump's in the
CBO
White House,
estimates.
and that's why
That's what we're trying
Kamala
to discuss
Harris
is the
on a book
actual
tour.
number. We're trying to have, at least I'm trying to have an honest conversation with you about the numbers and CBO estimates and the numbers that experts on this topic expect there to be. Congressman Tim Burchett, thanks for joining us.
Unnamed experts, thank y'all so much for having me.
Great to have you, sir.
Yeah, I think that was great framing there from Tim Burchett, right? I mean, is at the point with the liberal media, they're supporting being able to steal from the American people, right? When these people come out here and they boo-hoo on and cry, you're cutting fraud out of Social Security, right? When they do that, right? Again, they're supporting stealing. That's what they're supporting. They're supporting it. Why are they supporting it? Because we know that if you follow the paper trail, that is going to lead back to a lot of these Democrats, right? And some of these people that are on TV as well, too. These operatives that are on TV, like Norm Einstein. I just did a video about that today. How he's upset, boo-hoo-whining and crying about President Trump cutting off his security clearance. Well, his security clearance was being used in order to help him make money, right? In order to help him make money. And then he's turning around and using that money to wage lawfare against the president, right? That's the game. So when you're cutting off the money, right, again, these people get upset. Because, again, it's not the American people who are suffering, okay, when you cut off the funds. It's the Democrats and their operatives. They're suffering. So that being said, despite the propaganda from the media, the polls are clear, right? That, hey, the American people, a majority of whom support Doge and what they're doing and the cuts. Again, despite all the propaganda, the 24/7 propaganda, a majority of American people still support what President Trump and Elon Musk are trying to do.
This, to me, was one of the more shocking figures that I saw. Made me go, wait a minute, hold on one second. Whoa,
our propaganda isn't working, right? It's not working. The American people aren't listening to us. Yeah, that's the only reason you would be shocked by this.
Americans on Trump and Joe's efforts. Musk and Doge should influence government spending and operations. Look at this. 54%. The majority say that he and they should. How about approve of Trump trying to cut staff at government agencies? Again, you get a majority here. 51%. So yeah, Elon Musk might not be that popular, but these cuts and the idea of spending cuts, at least within the federal government and cutting at government agencies, that actually has majority support. I was truly surprised by this, Kate, but the numbers are the numbers.
Well, there is a view that cuts across Democrat and Republican of people thinking that Washington is too big, bloated federal government, waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, those are drain the swamp is what people run on over and over again. How do they feel? What do they think they're actually cutting?
Yeah, what do they think they're actually cutting? Democrats want to argue that the type of spending that Musk is cutting is mainly necessary programs, but that comes in at just 36%. The wasteful spending actually wins the plurality here at 42%, according to a recent Washington Post Ipsos poll. And I think that is the reason why you see that when it comes to Musk and Doge, you see, in fact, the majority believe he should have some influence because they believe, the plurality believe, that he is cutting wasteful spending, not necessary programs that Democrats are arguing.
Again, propaganda not working. And you already know these polls are rigged, right? These polls are rigged in favor of the Democrats and their narrative. And even when you got the rigged polls that are basically supporting President Trump and Elon Musk, you know that, again, a vast majority of American people support what's happening, okay? Because, again, we all know the game. We understand the game from these politicians. And that's why I said that President Trump, at his State of the Union address, or his joint address to Congress, coming out and basically naming all the things that are being cut and how much money is being cut, is a genius move. The reason why is because you're educating the American people. You're letting them know that, hey, this is what we're cutting. This is what your government is funding, right? They're trying to trans mice, right? They're creating transgender mice. That's what they're spending our money on, right? I don't care if they're doing it to figure out the effects of gender affirming care on humans. I don't give a damn. I don't think we should be studying it, to be honest with you. No, we shouldn't be studying. We should be using taxpayer dollars to study it. Now, if a private corporation, a private company, whatever, if they want to study it, fine, okay? With their private money, I'm cool with that. But the government, nah, we shouldn't be studying that type of stuff. And again, that's what the American people agree. This is why you get these type of numbers. This is why you get these type of numbers. And again, this guy is shocked. He's shocked. The propaganda is not working, right? The things that we say, the American people don't believe us.
Tomato, tomato. I do like Dusk and Mosh, though. I think we need to keep that around. But the definition of wasteful is, I think, what is really starting to come into play.
Correct.
What people necessary to one is wasteful to another. We are seeing that and finding that. How are Americans feeling about the size of the government?
Yeah, so what is exactly going on here? What is sort of driving these numbers underneath? Government is doing too much or too little. Back in 2020, when Trump lost re-election, 54% said too little. By the time he won re-election in 2024, look at that. Too much won the majority at 55%. It was the inverse. So I think there's this real push from the American public to want spending at the U.S. government to drop. And I think that's part of the reason why they're giving Musk and Doge that majority, at least at this point, when it comes to his influence over federal government
They're giving
spending.
him running room on this, but that's why I think these numbers show why transparency and what is actually being done and why the problems of they've made mistakes and putting things up on their wall of receipts
Correct.
that didn't actually happen or not, why that is so important and critical.
I think that's exactly right. We'll have to wait and see what happens. What's popular one moment may not be the next. We'll see.
Could change quickly. Good to see you, Harry. Thank
Nice to see you.
John.
By the way, yeah, Major Coat, right? Major Coat. I find it hilarious, right? Every single time the media tries to wage war, okay, on the president, on Elon Musk, when it comes to some subject, right, or something they're doing, it just backfires. It's almost as if the American people believe the opposite of what the media says, right? At some point, they'll figure that out, right? When you see the media start to agree with President Trump, right, overwhelmingly, at that point, they would have figured out that, okay, the way that we beat Trump is that we agree with him, so the American people disagree. At some point, they're going to get to that, and that's what they're going to start doing. Because quite literally, them standing against President Trump is basically helping President Trump when it comes to his approval, right? It's helping Doge. It's helping Elon Musk. So, it's just hilarious to me because the American people are not dumb. Okay, the American people are not as stupid as the Democrats and liberal media think that we are. Okay, we're not. Okay, and we can see right through it. We understand why they're boohoo, why they're crying, because the government is too damn big. And again, these Democrats and Republicans as well, too, to be honest with you, they're all benefiting from this excessive government spending that is wasteful to taxpayers, right? And again, this is why they're making so much noise about it. And the more noise they make, really, the more it shows the American people that, okay, we definitely need to cut back on spending. If anything, when you talk about trying to fix inflation, okay, Biden's economy, I talked about this yesterday, yeah, you got to cut spending, right? You got to get rid of all these unnecessary jobs that were created by the government to prop up Biden's fake economy, to prop up these fake jobs reports that has done nothing but led us to stagflation. So you got to cut. You got to make some hard choices. You got to make some hard decisions. And President Trump is doing that, and the American people are behind him. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.